Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Botany Key Garden. I'm so glad that you're joining us. Please let me know in the comments where you're coming from and how you found out about my page. Today, I want to share a new tool that, well, it's new to me. Um, I've been exploring it over this weekend, and it is from the University of Florida Extension offices, and it's the Florida Friendly Landscaping Plant Guide. They have this in a book form, but I just discovered the app. And let me tell you, it is wonderful. To start out with, you can set your zip code or your current location. And right now I have it set to show all plants so that I can show you some of the features of the app. And what it does, it lets you search for things that are not only native to Florida, but well adapted to Florida. You can view the plant type, the shape or size, what kind of flowers it has, what kind of conditions it likes, and you can restrict it to only native plants or to the whole list of the Florida friendly plants. I could get lost in this scroll all day long looking at these beautiful plants. But to start with, let's go with annuals. That's a pretty common thing. You see the common names, the official names, some of the secondary names, and when you click into something like this shell ginger, you'll see that it has another name of the shell flower or the Alpinia zarumbit. Please forgive my pronunciation. Geographic considerations are one of the most important things because you need the right plant in the right place. If you've ever worked with a landscaper or a designer or a horticulturist, a botanist, you've probably heard that phrase, the right plant in the right place. This particular ginger is not native to Florida, but it is adapted to the hardiness zones of 8B through 11. Here in Tampa Bay, we recently got upgraded because of the average climate. We went from a 9B to a 10A. Not a big difference, but a little less frost, a little more heat. Our heat is a humid heat, and we've got the breezes coming off of the Gulf of Mexico. So it would be very different from, for example, a California 10A or 9B, where they might have a very dry, arid climate, possibly a clay soil versus our sandy soil. You need to know your conditions. So, this particular plant can thrive in partial shade or full sun, but if you see the little check mark, it prefers full sun. It can handle sandy soil, well drained to medium drained, so it holds a little water is okay, but it doesn't like to have wet feet. It doesn't really want to be soggy. And then your acidity and alkalinity, the salt tolerance is not great. So if you live right on the beach, you're probably going to struggle with this one a little bit. I'm a little bit more off the beach inland, so to me, salt tolerance is not as much of a priority. It is a low drought tolerance, though. That means that if I go for vacation and don't water it, don't set my irrigation timer, then it could struggle with drying out if we don't get rain for a week or more. Um, doesn't specify anything about wind or nematodes, doesn't say if it's toxic, but it does give you a lot of details about the appearance. This is another thing that you want to consider with the right plant in the right place is you might get a cute little pot at the nursery store or the big box store, and it looks great until you realize that it's going to quintuple in size by the time that the season is over. So be aware, 3 to 5 feet spread on this one, and it's mostly upright, but it can get up to 6 to 12 feet tall. Do you want this one up underneath a covered area? Probably not. Do you want it up underneath a low tree or a shrub like a topiary kind of shape where it's going to have an upper boundary? Probably not, because it could get super big. Now, what's the average? Unfortunately, this app doesn't tell you that, but it has so much other great information. And pretty much, I figure mid to 2/3 on the size of what I want to account for. And make sure that it's not going to have competition within the full range of its potential size. It does have large leaves, moderate growth rate. This isn't necessarily a detailed analysis of this plant, but just an example to show you the app. And some of the things that I will point out as well is the colors and the flowering months. I love that because I want some staggered plantings. I want things like this that might bloom all through the year, and some things that might bloom in the fall and winter mixed in with things that bloom in the spring and summer. So I get a nice display year round in my garden by planting those things strategically in pairs, in companion groups, so that they enhance and just add to each other. I love that it gives you the pest and disease status. Now this one doesn't show one of my favorite features, so I'm going to go out and find something else, because when you scroll down on some of these plants, for example, the shrimp plant, and I'll let you see that picture a little bit more, how those flowers have a unique shrimp scale tail kind of pattern. At the very bottom of this screen, it's showing you that it attracts not only butterflies and hummingbirds, but other birds as well. So you know it's going to be a pollinator plant. That's a big priority to me. Encouraging and supporting our natural pollinators supports every other plant in your garden. So this one, attracting those birds, attracting those butterflies, other animals, other insects are going to be drawn to a plant like this because they gain a benefit from it, but they're bringing a benefit to my garden at the same time. So I love having these kind of plants. I don't personally have a shrimp plant, and it's not a native, but it would thrive in my zone, and I see them all around town near me. But it's a great host plant, and it really gives you some good attraction for your garden that helps to support all of your other plants. If you have pollinators loving your garden, then they're going to be on your excuse me, your tomato plants and everything else as well. I want to show you how to look up a specific plant just using the search, just a few words, and that plant comes up. Click on the name and it'll open the information card. You see one example image with each plant. If you want other images, you do have to look elsewhere outside of the app, but this one gives you a good example of how the stems are a very fine growing, climbing kind of stem, and the leaves are about equal size to the flower, and the flower has that pitcher shape. If you see the one that's in profile, maybe not fully open, you see how it comes downward, and then there's a light section that goes upward again. I don't know if you can see me circling and tapping on the screen, but right here at the top. Also known as pipe vine, not native, but well adapted to our conditions. This one, it does say that it attracts butterflies, but it more specifically lists two types of butterflies: the swallowtail, the pipe vine swallowtail, and the polydamas butterfly. Forgive me for my pronunciations. If you know how to say it correctly, let me know in the comments. But being a host plant, a larval food plant, knowing that makes me want to plant this in my garden, because I'm going to be supporting not just butterflies, but a specific butterfly for a breeding habitat. So all of these things that the app shows you, you can go in by the size, by the type of sun that you get. I have a north-facing house, so the bulk of my gardening space is on the east side, which gets full sun. And then I have an oak tree on the west side, so not only the house, but the tree is fully shading the west side of my yard. So when I'm looking for plants for that larger gardening space, I'm looking for something that can handle full sun, and I can immediately narrow it down from the 427 plants to 105 that I know are not going to struggle because of the sunlight conditions in my yard. Another great butterfly plant that we all know is milkweed. Being careful of the type of milkweed that you get, whether it's tropical or native, makes a big difference for the ecosystem. So being aware of that. Other types of plants, you can look at the sizes, the fruit potential, the color, the shape, any of those things that are important to your zone. You can find out not just your zone, but your planting space, where you want to go. And this is another one where, let's say, I want to plant a tree, but I don't want it to be too big. So I'm going to pick medium and small trees. I'm going to leave it as any shape, but I need it to like full sun, and I need it to be hardy for zone 10A. And let's say I want it to be friendly to pollinators. Any color of flower is fine with me. I'm not going to select native versus not native at the moment, but I do want a medium to high drought tolerance so that once that plant is established, I don't have to baby it. I don't have to give it a lot of water in a space that is well draining. I haven't tested my pH of my soil yet lately. I'm planning to go to the extension office soon, and we have one right near us at the Florida Botanical Gardens. I will definitely be getting that done and also looking into at-home soil testing options. But for now, I'm going to hit those filter selections and see what we come up with. Oops, nothing that way. I think I got a little too specific. So I can back it out, and maybe I'll take off the pollinators, since that's not always a big thing for trees. I'm going to have to select any wildlife there, and then I might need to deselect. There we go. So I'm going to come back to that, and I'll filter it, and now I get a good selection. I'm looking at one of these viburnums, and viburnum, excuse me. It's a smaller kind of plant. It does have the dwarf varietals available, but it can handle the drought. It can handle the salt. Well, it cannot handle the salt, so that's okay with me. This one actually wants partial shade as a preference, but it can handle the full sun. All of these things are amazing tools, and just a few quick examples of what this great app can do. It is the Florida Friendly Plant Guide, and it comes from the University of Florida Extension Office. And it's free to download on your app platform. Hope you've enjoyed the video today, and I hope you find time to enjoy your garden.